In this tutorial, we will see the basic object modification commands. Let's start with the push and pull tool, with which we can actually give the third dimension to a two-dimensional object. We select the push and pull tool from the toolbar, or we hit the letter P on our keyboard. We move the cursor, which has turned into the standard thumbnail of the tool, and we left-click on the surface that we want to push or pull. As we see, the surface is shadowed when we pass the cursor above it. After that, we pull the surface upwards with our mouse and we notice that there is a change in the current height in the measurements box. In order to complete the command, we just hit left click when our object has the desired height, or we can type in the measurements box the height and press enter, or if we want our object to have the same height with another object, we can pull our mouse and click on the already existing object. With this tool, we can also create parts of our model. Let's say, for example, that we want to create a pitched roof. Like we did before, we select the tool, we click on the surface that we want to remove, and with our mouse we push until we remove the piece we want, or until the message offset is limited appears, which means that we have reached the end point of the object. At this point, we click again in order to complete the command. Next tool, offset. We can either select it from the toolbar or press the letter F on our keyboard. We click on a flat surface of our model in order to offset its outline inwards or outwards. With the offset tool, we can select any surface of our model as long as nothing else is already selected. When we pass the cursor over a surface, then this surface gets shaded in order to see which one will be selected. If we want to define a certain distance, we type it in the measurements box and press enter. We have to set the direction of the offset before we type the distance. The next tool is the move tool. With this, we can move objects. This tool is very important and easy, and we will show how to use it. In our model, we already have two cubes with different dimensions that will help us understand this tool. First, we select the cube we want to move by clicking on Select. To enable this tool, we can either press the spacebar on our keyboard or select this icon on the toolbar. When we open SketchUp, the Select tool is enabled by default. When our cursor has turned into the standard form, we can select an object. With one click, we select an entity that can be a surface or a line. If we want to select both the surface and the lines that define it, we double-click on that surface. With double-click on a line, we select both the line and the surfaces that are directly connected with it. If we triple-click on any point of the cube, we select the whole cube. That means that all the lines and the surfaces of our cube are selected. When we have selected the object we want, we click on the Move command, either from the toolbar or from the keyboard by pressing the letter M. Then we select the point from which we want to drag it. With left click on that point, we can move it to a new position. While moving it, we can see in the measurements box the distance from the original point. Of course, we can also type it. Next command, rotate. With this tool, we can rotate objects and we can select it either from the toolbar or by hitting the letter Q on our keyboard. As we can see, the cursor has turned into a protractor. We notice that the protractor adapts to different colors when we move it about the surfaces of the cube. For example, it turns into blue when it is parallel to the surface that is vertical to the blue axis. This helps us know around which axis it will turn. So if we use the tool when the protractor is blue, the cube will be rotated around the blue axis. If we place the protractor here, on this point, we see that the object is distorted. In order to avoid that, we have to select the whole object like we did before. We press the spacebar to enable the Select tool, and we select the cube with triple click on any point of it. We enable the Rotate tool and we select the axis and the point around which it will be rotated. For example, if we want to rotate it around this edge, that means around the blue axis, and we want as a center this corner of the cube, then we have to select the corner only when the protractor has turned into blue. Since we are at the corner, this point belongs to all the three levels, so the protractor changes color when we move the cursor. If we want to lock the protractor on a specific color, we press Shift when the desired color appears. Then we select the point around which we want the cube to be rotated. When we have selected the center of the rotation, we have to choose both the start point of the rotation and the end point in order to complete the operation. This can be done either by moving our mouse or by typing the rotation angle in the measurements box. Last but not least, the Scale tool. It enables us to change the scale of the selected objects. Besides the scale, we can also change a single dimension of an object. Let's see what that means. First, we select it from the toolbar. We can also enable it by hitting the letter S on our keyboard. If we select this rectangle, then those little green cubes appear. These are the grip points. For example, we select this grip point and pull it. Then the dimension of the shape changes only along the green axis. If we choose this one, it will change only along the red axis, but if we choose this grip point on the corner, we can see a change along the green and the red axis. So we change the scale without a deformation of our rectangle. Of course, we can type the desired scale instead of defining it graphically with a mouse. Now let's try to double our rectangle. We type the number 2 and hit enter. If we try to do the same thing on the cube, we will notice that with the Scale tool we can select only one surface and not the whole cube. So if we select a surface and pull it from a grip point, we will notice that the dimensions change only on the selected surface and the cube will be distorted. In order to scale the whole cube, we have to select it with the Select tool. So we press the spacebar, triple click on the cube, and then select the Scale tool from the toolbar. We can see that many grip points have appeared. These are all the points that we need in order to scale any surface in any direction. If we want to scale the whole cube without deforming it, we just have to pull it from a corner grip point.